The stars burned quietly in the endless black of space. Among them, a shadow moved with purpose. It was not a natural shadow. It was a fleet of alien warships, vast and cold, gliding into the solar system without a sound. They came from far away, from a world that had grown powerful through conquest. Their leaders had promised them that Earth would be an easy victory. To the invaders, Earth was only another prize in a long list of victories. Their ships were like mountains in the void, with armored hulls and glowing engines. Each vessel carried soldiers, weapons, and machines built to crush resistance. The aliens were certain of success. To them, humans were still young and weak. They had studied fragments of human broadcasts and signals, learning about wars, poverty, and struggle. They believed Earth was divided and fragile. They were sure that no human could resist the strength of their empire, yet in their confidence, they had made a mistake. They thought Earth was blind. They thought humans were only beginning to stretch into space. What they did not know was that Mars was not silent. The planet, covered in red dust and rock, seemed lifeless to the casual eye. But beneath its surface, hidden tunnels and bases stretched wide. For years, humans had worked in secret to turn Mars into more than a colony. It was the shield of Earth, the first wall against threats from the stars. Few people on Earth even knew the truth. Only a small number of leaders and soldiers understood the full scale of the project. Inside one of the underground bases, alarms flashed across dark screens. A group of humans sat in silence as the scanners revealed the alien fleet. Mira, a watch officer with calm eyes, stared at the growing shapes on her display. She could see their size, their number, and their speed. Her voice was steady as she spoke. "They are here," she said. Tom, a technician with broad shoulders and sharp focus, adjusted the systems. He checked the power lines that connected the weapons hidden across Mars. His hands moved quickly, but without panic. He had trained for this moment since he was young. Raj, a strategist who had studied both human and alien tactics, leaned over the table of glowing maps. He did not blink as he watched the enemy move closer. His voice was low, but filled with certainty. "They think we are weak," he said. "They will learn the truth before they see Earth." The room filled with quiet determination. These were not many, but each of them carried the weight of humanity's survival. For years they had built weapons under the soil, satellites hidden, in the shadows of Mars' moons, and drones that could rise from bunkers like swarms of steel birds. They had tested their systems again and again, knowing that one day something would come from the stars. That day had arrived, above the planet. The alien fleet sailed closer. Their commanders spoke in their own tongue, praising the ease of the mission. They laughed at the thought of conquering humans. Some ships scanned Mars but saw only rock and dust. To them, Mars was empty, nothing worth a second glance. They did not sense the machines sleeping beneath the soil. They did not hear the silent hum of power grids awakening. Back inside the human base, Mira gave the final confirmation to Earth. Her message was short. "Enemy sighted. Preparing defenses." Then she turned back to her screen, her eyes fixed on the fleet. Tom pressed a series of switches, and deep under the surface, rail cannons began to warm. Massive weapons, buried for years, started to breathe fire into their cores. Raj ordered the drone hangars to open, and within the tunnels, machines stirred awake, their wings and weapons unfolding in the darkness. Outside, on the cold surface of Mars, nothing moved. The desert looked the same as it had for millions of years. But beneath the stillness, a storm was ready. The alien fleet continued forward, unaware of what waited. They believed Earth would fall before them. They believed no one would challenge their arrival. But Mars was not silent. Humanity had prepared for this day. As the first alien ships crossed the orbit of the red planet, the humans stood ready. Their eyes were steady, their hands firm. They did not speak of fear. They spoke only of duty. And so the invasion began. Not with fire on Earth, but with silence over Mars. The aliens had come to take a world, but before they even reached their goal, the humans were waiting to strike. The red planet stood quiet in the thin sunlight. To most, Mars was only rock, dust, and silence. But to the few who lived beneath its surface, it was more than a world. It was the front line of human survival. Deep under the ground, tunnels stretched like veins, carrying light, air, and power. Here, the watchers of Mars worked without rest, their eyes fixed on the skies. Mira sat in the control room, watching the alien fleet grow larger on her screen. The shapes were sharp and heavy, their numbers almost too many to count. Yet her hands did not shake. She had trained for this since she first joined the Mars Defense Project. Her role was clear. She was the one who would guide the flow of the battle, the one who would keep calm when others could not. Beside her, Tom checked the systems again. Thick cables ran through the tunnels, feeding power into the great rail cannons buried beneath the surface. He could hear the low hum of energy rising as the weapons prepared. Each cannon was powerful enough to tear through the armor of an alien ship. Tom's job was to make sure none of them failed. He moved from screen to screen, checking every signal, every level, every line of code. He spoke only once. "All systems ready," he said. Raj stood at the strategy table. Before him, a three-dimensional map showed the positions of the alien fleet and the hidden weapons of Mars. He traced the enemy's path with his finger, his eyes sharp with focus. He had studied alien tactics for years, though no human had ever fought them face to face. His mind was steady, built for this moment. "They will try to rush past us," Raj said. "They believe Earth is weak. They think Mars is empty. That is why we will strike them here. This is our chance to break them before they even see Earth." Around them, dozens of soldiers, engineers, and operators worked. Each had a task, and each understood its weight. The air was thick with quiet tension, but not fear. These people were far from home, living in tunnels carved into stone, yet they carried the hopes of billions. They were the shield of Earth. Above the planet, the alien fleet pressed closer. Their commanders spoke with pride. They saw no weapons, no signs of resistance. Mars appeared dead, as it always had. Some of them laughed at the thought that this barren world could stand in their way. Their scanners showed nothing but sandstorms and empty plains. What they could not see was the hidden heart of Mars. Beneath layers of stone, satellites waited to rise, drones slept in their hangars, and rail cannons pointed silently toward the stars. Every system had been designed to stay invisible until the last moment. It was humanity's way of fighting smarter, not louder. Mira leaned forward as alarms blinked. The alien vanguard had entered Mars' orbit. The first line of ships was preparing to move past the planet, aiming for the path to Earth. She pressed her hand against the comms panel. "Stand by," she ordered. Her voice was calm, steady, carrying across the tunnels. Tom watched his readouts. The cannons were fully charged now, energy building like thunder in the silence. Drones unfolded their wings and armed their weapons, waiting for release. Raj studied the map, marking where the first strike should fall. His voice was low but firm. "Hit them hard, hit them fast. They must believe Earth is stronger than they ever imagined." The people in the room nodded. No one spoke of retreat. No one spoke of failure. They were too far from Earth to be rescued. They were alone, but they were ready. On the surface, hidden hatches opened slowly. Dust lifted into the thin air as metal. Wings rose from the ground. Hundreds of drones activated, their eyes glowing in the dim light. Beneath the soil, the barrels of rail cannons shifted, aiming upward toward the approaching fleet. Still, the aliens saw nothing. Their sensors could not detect the weapons buried so deep. They believed they were gliding past a dead world. Their mistake would cost them everything. Inside the base, Mira took a slow breath. She turned to Raj and Tom, her voice quiet but filled with strength. "This is where it begins," she said. Tom placed his hand on the main control switch. His eyes locked on the power levels. Raj tapped the map, marking the largest alien ship in the front line. "That one first," he said. "Let them know we are not afraid." The control room fell silent, waiting for the command. The alien fleet drifted closer, their engines bright, against the black sky. Earth was still far beyond them, unaware of how close danger had come. But Mars was awake. The Watchers were ready. As the alien fleet crossed deeper into orbit, Mira gave the order. Fire. The alien fleet moved across Mars' orbit like a storm of steel. Their ships were sharp and black, their engines glowing with steady fire. They believed nothing stood in their way. They were sure that Earth lay open before them, weak and divided. None of them expected danger from this empty red world. In the hidden tunnels below the surface, the humans waited no longer. The time for silence was over. Mira gave the command with a steady voice. "Fire all rail cannons." A deep sound rolled beneath the ground as the weapons released their power. The first rail cannon fired with blinding speed, launching a massive projectile into the sky. It cut through the thin Martian atmosphere, glowing as it rose, before striking the nearest alien warship. The alien vessel shook with the impact, its hull tearing open in a flash of sparks and flame. Within seconds, more cannons fired. The ground trembled as steel thunder tore through the air. One by one, the shots found their targets, slamming into alien ships with crushing force. Armor shattered, engines burst, and the once proud vanguard began to fall apart. In the control room, Tom's screens lit up with data. Power levels dropped with each shot, but the cannons recharged quickly, ready to strike again. His voice was firm. "Cannons are holding. All lines stable." Raj studied the map as enemy ships scattered, in confusion. The aliens had not expected an attack, and their formation broke apart under the sudden storm. He pointed toward the largest ship still moving forward. "Target that carrier. If it falls, the smaller ships will lose command." Mira relayed the order. Another wave of fire blasted upward. This time, the shots struck the massive carrier. Its shields flickered, struggling to hold against the barrage. Sparks flew across its hull as sections broke away. Inside, alien commanders shouted orders, their pride turning into panic. But the humans were not finished. From the hidden hangars, the drones launched into the sky. Hundreds of machines rose at once, their wings sharp and their weapons ready. They flew in tight formations, guided by human operators underground. Mira directed them with clear instructions, her eyes moving from screen to screen. Cut off their retreat. Surround them. The drones swarmed like silver birds of war. They dodged enemy fire, weaving between blasts of plasma, and struck with precision. Small alien ships exploded in bursts of light, unable to handle the sudden attack. The invaders had believed themselves the hunters, yet now they were prey. Above Mars, the battle grew fierce. Alien ships tried to return fire, but their aim was wild. They had expected an easy passage, not a hidden fortress. Their shots burned harmlessly across the surface, striking only empty plains of dust. They could not find the bunkers buried deep under stone. Inside the control room, Tom adjusted the power to keep the cannons firing. Sweat ran down his face, but his hands stayed steady. Raj studied the shifting positions of the alien fleet, marking weaknesses in their broken lines. Mira guided the drones, striking down one enemy after another. The humans had waited for this moment for years, and they would not waste it. Far above, the great carrier ship burned. One of the rail cannon shots pierced straight through its hull, and the explosion shook the entire fleet. Smaller ships drifted helplessly without orders. The once proud formation had become scattered wreckage. For the first time, the aliens realized their mistake. This was not a dead world. This was not an empty rock. This was a fortress built by humans, hidden in silence, waiting for the day invaders came. Raj spoke firmly as he watched the fleet break apart. Now they know who we are. But we cannot stop yet. Press the attack before they recover. Mira nodded and commanded the drones forward. They darted between the remaining ships, striking weak points and engines. The sky above Mars lit with fire as alien vessels exploded one after another. Tom called out the status. "Cannons recharged, ready for the next volley." "Fire," Mira answered. Again, the ground shook as the weapons roared. More alien ships fell, torn apart by unstoppable force. The silence of Mars had turned into thunder, and the red sky burned with the light of battle. The alien fleet, once certain of victory, was now in chaos. Their leaders tried to rally them, but their voices carried fear. They had never lost a battle like this. They had never faced prey that struck with such precision and strength. On Earth, the message had not yet arrived. Billions still lived unaware of the war beginning above Mars. But in the tunnels of the Red Planet, the Watchers knew. They had delivered the first strike. Humanity had proven it would not bow, not even to an empire from the stars. As the burning wrecks of alien ships drifted through orbit, Mira stood tall at her post. She did not smile. There was no time for joy. She knew the battle had only begun. "Hold. Position," she ordered. "The enemy is not finished yet." The sky above Mars burned with wreckage. Broken alien ships drifted in orbit, their metal bodies glowing with fire as they fell into the thin atmosphere. Some crashed against the surface, carving black scars into the red desert. Others simply broke apart in silence, turning into floating debris. But the battle was not over. The surviving alien ships regrouped quickly. Their leaders shouted new orders, calling for a counterattack. Bright blasts of plasma tore through the sky as the aliens fired at the drones. The swarms scattered, some destroyed in the fire, but many kept flying. For every drone lost, two more pressed forward. Inside the underground command center, Mira's voice stayed calm as she gave new directions. Split the drones. One group on defense, one group on attack. Keep pressure on their flanks. Operators guided the machines with steady focus. Screens glowed with the paths of the drones, showing lines of movement and waves of fire. The machines obeyed instantly, shifting in tight formations that outmaneuvered the alien weapons. Tom checked the power systems again. The rail cannons were still charging, but the constant firing had pushed them to their limits. He wiped his hands across his face and leaned closer to the controls. We cannot keep this pace forever. If the power grids overload, the cannons will shut down. Raj studied the battle map. He knew Tom was right, but his eyes stayed fixed on the alien ships. We only need to hold long enough to break their command. If their leaders fall, the rest will scatter. He pointed to the center of the enemy formation. One ship stood larger and brighter than the others. It was not as big as the carrier already destroyed, but it pulsed with energy. That one is giving the orders. If we cut it down, the fight turns in our favor. Mira nodded. Prepare the next volley. Outside, the drones swarmed again, weaving between alien fire. Some attached themselves directly to enemy hulls, drilling small charges into weak points before bursting into flame. Alien ships shook under the surprise attacks, their engines failing as fire spread. The once proud invaders now looked less like a conquering army and more like prey trapped in a storm. Still, the aliens were not weak. Their larger ships pushed forward with heavier fire. Blasts lit the thin sky, cutting through clusters of drones and hammering the Martian surface. Some strikes hit empty ground, carving deep craters, while others slammed into hidden bunkers. Dust and rock shook loose inside the tunnels, and alarms flashed across the command center. Damage on the east sector, one operator called. Shields, holding, but we cannot take too many more hits. Tom's hands flew across his controls. He rerouted power from the damaged lines to the active cannons, forcing them to stay alive. The lights flickered, but the weapons responded, their cores humming with growing energy. The cannons will fire, Tom said. His voice was tired but steady. Raj gave the signal. Aim for the command ship. The rail cannons roared again, their thunder echoing through the tunnels. Projectiles cut the sky, moving faster than sound. The first shot missed, grazing the ship and sending sparks flying. The second struck directly, tearing across the alien armor. The third broke through, and the enemy ship shook violently as flames erupted from within. Cheers rose in the command room, but Mira silenced them quickly. Stay focused. More are coming. The aliens struggled now. Without clear orders, smaller ships broke apart from the formation. Some turned to fight the drones, while others tried to retreat. The once organized fleet was falling into chaos. Raj leaned closer to the map. His eyes were sharp as he marked their movements. They underestimated us. They thought Earth was easy prey. Now they know we are ready. Mira's gaze stayed on her screen. This is only the beginning. If they came once, they will come again. We must send a message they cannot ignore. Outside, the drones pressed harder, forcing the aliens into smaller clusters. Rail cannon fire split the sky again, destroying ship after ship. What had begun as an invasion was turning into a desperate struggle for survival. Tom watched the power lines carefully. Sparks leapt from a panel, but he slapped it down with his glove and kept the system stable. His voice was rough but proud. They thought Mars was empty, They never saw us coming. The alien fleet shrank quickly now. One by one, their ships either burned in the sky or fled into the dark. The great invasion had turned into a retreat. Humanity, hidden beneath red stone and dust, had shown its hand at last. The command room was filled with the glow of victory. But Mira did not allow herself to relax. She knew the war was not yet won. She knew this was only the first wave, a test of strength. Still, she looked at Raj and Tom, her voice steady. For the first time, the galaxy will see what Earth can do, and above Mars the sky burned with proof of her words. The alien fleet had begun to scatter, their pride shattered by the human attack. Ships that once moved with precision now drifted chaotically in orbit around Mars. Fires burned across the hulls of the largest vessels, sending fragments of metal into the thin atmosphere. The invaders had expected an easy victory, but instead they had met a force they could not anticipate. Inside the underground control center, Mira, Raj, and Tom watched the enemy carefully. Their faces were tense, but their eyes were sharp. They knew the battle was far from over. Even wounded, the aliens could still regroup and strike again. They were proud warriors and would not surrender easily. Raj pointed to the map. They are trying to pull back and reorganize. If we let them recover, Earth will face the next wave stronger than ever. Mira nodded. Then we give them no chance. She pressed her fingers against the touch screen, opening the communication link to the orbital satellites hidden in the asteroid belt. For years, these weapons had remained dormant, their energy sealed away. Now, the time had come to awaken them. Tom adjusted the power channels, diverting energy from less damaged systems to the satellites. Sparks flew across the control panel, but he worked calmly, making sure the massive arrays would fire correctly. "Satellites ready," he said. "Just waiting for your signal." The satellites were unlike anything the aliens had seen before. Each one contained high-energy beams, capable of cutting through the largest ships in seconds. They had been built in secret, scattered across asteroids to hide from detection. Only a handful of humans knew their exact locations. Raj leaned closer to the three-dimensional map. "Target the biggest ship still moving. If we take it out, the rest will panic." Mira nodded. "Fire." Instantly, beams of pure energy shot from the distant satellites, converging on the alien warship. The metal glowed and twisted as the energy tore through its hull. Explosions spread from the center, and the once mighty vessel broke apart in a storm of fire. Smaller ships nearby tried to retreat, but the humans had planned for that. Drones swarmed forward again, intercepting escape paths and striking at any alien that survived the beams. They moved like silver shadows, weaving through enemy fire and striking precisely at weak points. The aliens had never seen tactics like this. They were powerful, but they were not prepared for humans who fought with intelligence, not just strength. Inside the control room, Tom monitored the energy flow. "The satellites are holding," he said. "They can fire again if needed." Raj smiled slightly. "Then we make sure they have nowhere to run." Outside, the battle raged. The alien fleet was now in full retreat, but the humans did not let them go easily. Every ship that tried to escape found itself targeted by drones, rail cannon fire, or energy beams. The sky above Mars was filled with fire and metal, and the red planet seemed alive with human defiance. Some of the alien commanders attempted daring maneuvers, sending fast ships to flank the Martian defenses. Mira anticipated their moves and redirected the drones. They met the flanking ships with precision attacks, destroying engines and disabling weapons. The aliens realized too late that every move they made had already been predicted. Raj's eyes never left the map. He spotted a cluster of ships trying to regroup. "Focus on them," he said. "Break their formation completely." Tom adjusted the cannon targeting. "Ready to fire on your mark." Mira pressed the button. One by one, rail cannon projectiles streaked across the sky, finding their marks with devastating accuracy. The alien cluster was shattered before it, could recover, sending ships tumbling out of control. The tide had fully turned. The aliens, who had come to conquer, were now losing everything. Their ships burned in orbit, and their formations dissolved. For the first time, their confidence had vanished completely. Humans had shown strength they could not overcome. Even as the battle slowed, the humans remained vigilant. Mira looked at the remaining enemy vessels. "We must keep pressure. If we let them rebuild, they could come back stronger." Raj nodded. "Agreed. But so far, Mars has held. Earth is safe for now." Tom smiled faintly, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We've made history today. They thought they were coming to invade, and now they are running." Outside the command center, the red planet glowed under the fading light of the fires and explosions. Mars had survived the first strike. Humans had turned the tide not with brute force alone, but with intelligence, planning, and courage. The galaxy would soon know that Earth and Mars were not easy targets. Mira stood tall, her eyes on the screens showing the retreating fleet. "This is only the beginning," she said. "But we have shown them that humans will not be defeated easily." And in that moment, the Watchers on Mars knew something powerful. Humanity's strength was not just in weapons or machines. It was in their minds, their teamwork, and their will to survive. The invaders had underestimated the humans, and that mistake would change the galaxy forever. The alien fleet was shattered but not defeated. A few of the largest ships still hovered above Mars, their engines glowing with desperate energy. The survivors of the invasion gathered together, forming a final line of attack. They would not leave without a fight, and they had no intention of returning home in defeat. Inside the underground command center, Mira, Raj, and Tom studied the remaining fleet carefully. The enemy was dangerous, but their numbers had been cut drastically. Every ship they still had was critical. One misstep could bring disaster, but humans were ready. "They're concentrating everything they have on the largest remaining ship," Raj said, tracing its movement on the map. "It must be their command ship. If it falls, the others will scatter completely." Mira nodded. "Then we take it down first. Prepare drones and cannons. Everyone must be in position." Tom's hands flew across the controls. He rerouted energy, from backup systems to the rail cannons, making sure every weapon would be at maximum power. Sparks flickered across the panels, but he kept everything steady. "All systems ready. Cannons charged. Drones deployed." Above the planet, the aliens began their assault. Bright blasts of plasma lit the thin atmosphere, striking at drones and surface installations. Small fires erupted on the surface, but the humans' defenses held strong. Drones swarmed like silver lightning, dodging attacks and striking alien engines and weapon systems with precision. Raj leaned over the map. "We need a boarding team. If we can reach the command ship directly, we can disable it from the inside." Mira looked at him with steady eyes. It is dangerous, but it may be the only way to end this battle. A team of humans suited up quickly. Raj led them, moving into a stealth shuttle designed for infiltration. The shuttle shot toward the alien ship, invisible against the burning sky of Mars. Every second was tense. Missiles and plasma fire streaked past, but the shuttle dodged skillfully, guided by Mira and Tom from the control center. "Steady," Mira said, her voice calm. "You're almost there." The boarding team attached the shuttle to a damaged section of the ship's hull. Inside, Raj and his team moved quickly, placing charges and sabotaging control panels. Alien soldiers tried to stop them, but they were caught off guard by human tactics. Raj's team moved with precision, disabling weapons and communication. Arrays. Back on Mars, Mira guided the drones and cannon fire, keeping the remaining alien ships away from the boarding team. The sky was filled with fire and debris as rail cannon projectiles tore through enemy vessels. The few remaining ships tried to counterattack, but the humans' planning and strategy kept them on the defensive. Inside the command ship, the sabotage worked quickly. The engines faltered, energy systems overloaded, and alarms rang across the alien vessel. Raj and his team raced back to the shuttle just as the ship's core began to fail. They barely escaped before a massive explosion tore the ship apart, lighting the sky with fire. The remaining alien ships, witnessing the destruction of their command vessel, faltered. Their formation broke completely. Some tried to retreat, but the humans had planned for that as well. Drones intercepted escape paths, while rail cannon fire struck any stragglers. The few ships left had no chance to regroup or fight back. Inside, the control center, Mira, Raj, and Tom watched as the last alien vessels were destroyed or forced to flee. Sweat and dust coated their faces, but their eyes shone with determination and relief. Humanity had held its ground. Mars had stood firm. Raj leaned back slightly, his voice steady. "It's over. They can't fight us anymore. Earth is safe." Mira did not relax entirely. She knew the galaxy would remember this battle, and other invaders might come in the future. But for now, humanity had shown its strength. "We have won today," she said. "Mars has protected Earth, and humans have proven they cannot be underestimated." Tom smiled faintly, checking the final readouts. "The planet is secure. The remaining alien ships have no command and will scatter into space." Outside, Mars glowed under the light of the destroyed fleet. Craters marked the surface where fallen ships had impacted, but the planet remained unbroken. Humanity had fought not with overwhelming numbers, but with intelligence, teamwork, and courage. The red planet had been the shield, and it had not failed. Mira looked at her team, her voice firm. "This victory will be remembered. The galaxy now knows humans are not weak. They cannot conquer us easily." Raj nodded. "And if they return, we will be ready. Mars will always stand as the first line of defense for Earth." Above the planet, the stars shone once more, calm and silent. The fires of battle faded, leaving Mars scarred but victorious. Humanity had faced the invaders and won. They had shown the galaxy what it meant to underestimate humans. The red planet had proven itself as a shield and a warning, and as the last pieces of the alien fleet drifted away, retreating into the darkness of space, the watchers on Mars knew one simple truth. Humanity would not bow, humanity would not surrender, and humanity would always fight to protect its home. The sky above Mars was calm now. Fires from the destroyed alien ships had faded, leaving black scars on the red surface. Smoke rose from scattered craters, but the planet stood strong. Humanity had won the battle, but the victory was not just about destroying ships. It was about proving strength, intelligence, and unity to anyone who might dare threaten Earth in the future. Inside the underground control center, Mira, Raj, and Tom watched the empty sky. Their faces were tired, but their eyes reflected pride and relief. For weeks, they had prepared for this day. They had studied every signal, every possibility, and every risk. And now, after fire and smoke and shattered metal, humanity had survived its first real test in space. Raj spoke first, his voice calm but firm. They will tell their empire what happened here. They will remember Mars and humans. But we need to make sure everyone else knows too. Mira nodded. We send a message, clear and unmistakable. A warning to anyone thinking of coming to Earth. Tom moved to the communication array, built to send signals far beyond the solar system. It was powerful enough to reach neighboring star systems. For years, humans had built it in secret, knowing one day it might be needed. Now that day had arrived. Message is ready, Tom said. It will broadcast continuously for weeks if necessary. Mira typed quickly, her mind focused. The message was simple but strong. It did not brag, it did not threaten unnecessarily. It only stated a fact. Humans are not weak, and anyone who comes to take what belongs to them will face destruction. Raj added, "We include the coordinates of Mars and Earth. Let them see that this planet is defended and humans are ready." The signal pulsed through the communication array. Energy waves shot across the void, carrying the proof of humanity's strength. It would reach faraway stars, far beyond the reach of the alien empire, and it would carry a clear warning. Do not underestimate humans. Do not invade Earth. Outside the tunnels, Mars was quiet. The red dust reflected the faint sunlight, and the scars of battle were visible across the plains. Drones patrolled the surface, checking for damage and making sure the planet remained secure. Rail cannons had cooled, but they were ready if needed. Again. Mars was no longer just a colony. It was a fortress, a symbol of human strength and resilience. Mira looked at Raj and Tom. Today, humans showed the galaxy who we are, not with pride alone, but with courage, skill, and unity. Raj nodded. And tomorrow, Earth will know the truth. People will understand that Mars is the shield, and humans are not easy prey. Tom smiled faintly. They thought they could take Earth with ease. They were wrong. They were destroyed before they even reached it. The three of them stood in silence for a moment, thinking of all the lives on Earth that had been spared by their work. Families, cities, and entire nations remained safe because Mars had held its ground. The weight of responsibility was heavy, but the pride was heavier. In orbit, the remnants of the alien fleet drifted into the darkness. Their ships were broken, and their soldiers were demoralized. They would carry the story of Mars back to their homeworld, but it would not be a story of victory. It would be a warning. Humans were not weak. Humans were clever, prepared, and united. Mira's voice broke the quiet. "We have sent the message. Now the galaxy knows. And if they return, they will think twice. Raj looked at the stars, the same stars that had seemed so distant and quiet before the battle began. We have changed their perception. They will never see humans the same way again. Tom checked the final readouts from the communication array. Signal is strong. It will reach far. Any civilization within range will know Mars is defended and Earth is protected. Outside, the sun began to rise over the Martian horizon. Light touched the scars of battle, turning them into shadows that stretched across the plains. Mars had survived, humanity had survived, and the galaxy had learned a truth that could not be ignored. Mira turned to her team, her voice steady and proud. This is more than a victory. It is a message to the stars. Humans will not bow, humans will not surrender, and humans will protect their home. Raj nodded, his eyes reflecting determination. Mars will always stand as a shield. Earth will always have defenders, and anyone who comes thinking they can take what is ours will find that humans are stronger than they imagined. Tom added, this is just the beginning. One day humans may go beyond Mars and Earth. But no matter where we go, we will carry the same truth. We are not weak, and we will always fight to protect our home. The stars twinkled in the dark sky above, calm and silent once more. But humanity had left its mark. Mars had spoken, Earth had survived, and the galaxy had received its warning. And somewhere far beyond the solar system, those who had dared to invade would remember Mars, the red planet where humans showed their true strength, and they would think twice before ever returning.